The BBC sunk to new depths last night on their Question Time show, their flagship politics show for over 4 decades, where they had 2 audience members who'd illegally come into Britain by boat.
Some men in the audience who came over on small boats.
One of them admitted, he came from Afghanistan, admitted his asylum claim had been rejected in 6 other countries.
In Turkey, and the second one in Macedonia, in Serbia, in Romania, Austria, and recently in Germany. These countries just reject me and they didn't accept me.
Yet there he was on the BBC, another man who came by boat with an earpiece and an iPhone, reading out questions.
It would give ordinary people one less court or weekend checks and the government power, risk on peace settlement in Northern Ireland.
And suddenly he's a constitutional expert on the Northern Ireland settlement. Both of those individuals should not even be in the United Kingdom. They broke it in illegally, they should have been deported, yet they've been given a platform on the BBC in an effort to get the great British public to sympathise with them. And frankly, with an earpiece and a phone, the whole thing was a complete, absolute set-up job. And we're seeing this now more and more and more. Total, absolute bias and prejudice from the BBC. And frankly, Question Time had been, over the years, a great programme. After last night, it is utterly discredited.
This situation with the BBC is no longer just another media controversy. It has become a defining moment, one that forces the country to confront a national broadcaster that no longer behaves like a neutral public service, but like a political weapon. What happened to Nigel Farage on the BBC's Today program this morning proves just how far they're willing to go. This wasn't a serious political interview. It wasn't about policy, the future of the country, or the issues affecting millions of ordinary people. Farage wasn't invited on for discussion. He was invited on to be framed, attacked, and smeared. The BBC reached back nearly half a century, and through one of its presenters, attempted to do the unthinkable, draw a line between the leader of Reform UK and Adolf Hitler. Yes, Hitler. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't clumsy wording or poor judgment. It was deliberate. It was scripted. It was part of a wider strategy to turn a political opponent into a villain. And here's why this matters. Nigel Farage didn't back down. He didn't apologize. He didn't soften his tone. He called it out, directly, clearly, and publicly. And when he fought back, he didn't do it with emotion. He did it with facts, with history, with the BBC's own past, a past the corporation now prefers to pretend never existed. Before we break it all down, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Dark Britain. Believe it or not, over 98% of viewers watch our content without hitting the follow button, and subscribing is completely free. Now, let's take a step back and properly understand what really happened. The BBC now pretends to be shocked by alleged schoolboy banter from the 1970s. Yet this is the very same BBC that proudly broadcast the black and white minstrel show. The same BBC that put actors in blackface on national television. The same BBC that aired It Ain't Half Hot Mom, Are You Being Served?, Alf Garnett, and Bernard Manning's comedy, openly, unapologetically, and in primetime slots. These weren't hidden sketches. They weren't obscure late-night experiments. They were flagship programs, watched by millions, and endorsed by the BBC itself. And now that same broadcaster dares to lecture the public on morality. The hypocrisy would be laughable if it weren't so dangerous. Because the BBC isn't just being inconsistent. It is using its authority to rewrite history while attempting to destroy the reputations of people it does not politically agree with. Nigel Farage exposed exactly that. He reminded them of their past. He reminded them of their choices. And he reminded them that while the BBC drags up alleged comments from nearly 50 years ago, it refuses to accept responsibility for what it knowingly broadcast to the entire nation. But this story goes even deeper. Farage revealed a letter from one of his former classmates, a Jewish pupil who attended Dulwich College at the same time. That letter completely dismantles the BBC's narrative. It confirms that yes, boys joked. Yes, the culture was different. But there was no hatred, no malice, no racism. And if there had been, it would have been reported immediately. This letter matters because it isn't political. It isn't from a Reform UK supporter. It comes from someone who knew Farage personally, and who states clearly that the claims being made today are false, exaggerated, and politically motivated. And that is the real story. This attack isn't about morality or history. It's about politics. Reform UK is no longer a fringe movement. It is a genuine threat to the establishment. That's what the BBC doesn't. They are leading in multiple polls. They are energizing voters who feel betrayed after decades of broken promises. They are delivering a message that resonates with a Britain exhausted by woke dogma, something the establishment parties have completely forgotten how to do. And when a movement becomes a real threat, the establishment always reaches for the same playbook. Step 1, find something old. Step 2, twist it. Step 3, get the media to amplify it. Step 4, manufacture a scandal that distracts from the real political failures. We've seen this pattern before. We saw it with Russell Brand. We see it with Andrew Tate. We've seen it with countless public figures. And now we're seeing it with Nigel Farage, because he is the driving force behind reform's rapid rise. And let's be clear, the BBC is not acting alone. This is coordinated. This is systemic. This is a media ecosystem working in unison. You can watch it happen in real time. Newspapers running near-identical headlines, social media accounts pushing the same narrative, broadcasters repeating the same phrases, the same framing, the same conclusions. It's not coincidence. It's a machine. This isn't random. It's a system. And that system has decided that Reform UK must be stopped. This so-called scandal isn't about something Nigel Farage allegedly said 49 years ago. It's about what the establishment is afraid of right now. So ask the obvious question. Why now? Why suddenly? Why all at once? Because Labour is in trouble. Because their budget narrative has collapsed. Because they misled the public and can no longer hide it. Because the China interference story has spiraled beyond their control. Because serious questions are being asked about the cancellation of mayoral elections. And because Angela Rayner still hasn't properly explained the stamp duty issue. These are real scandals. They are happening today. They affect the country now. Yet instead of holding power to account, the BBC is obsessing over alleged schoolyard banter from 1974. This is exactly what Farage meant when he spoke about double standards. And it's exactly what millions of ordinary people complain about every single day. They see it, they feel it, and they're fed up. That's why the BBC license fee is collapsing. 500,000 people refuse to pay it every year. Not out of ignorance, but out of protest. People are tired of being talked down to. Tired of being manipulated. Tired of being treated like fools. But the most worrying part of this story isn't just the BBC. It's the wider cultural shift taking place across Britain. This same mentality is now in our schools. This same intimidation. This same fear of saying the wrong thing. This same obsession with digging up the past to punish people in the present. It's in education. It's on social media. It's in workplaces. And once a society reaches that point, open debate dies, and fear takes its place. That is the real story. And while the establishment keeps pushing this culture of permanent outrage and permanent offense, it continues to ignore the real problems facing Britain. Crime, mass migration, collapsing public services, people unable to get GP appointments, bills rising, families struggling. Everything that actually matters to working people is pushed aside. Instead of addressing any of that, the BBC chose to spend national airtime attacking Nigel Farage by asking a question that compared him to one of history's most evil dictators. That isn't journalism, that's propaganda, that's desperation. What happened on that program wasn't an interview. It was a political attack disguised as a question. But here's the twist. It failed. And it failed badly. Farage responded with strength, clarity, and confidence, and the public saw it. The BBC didn't expect him to hit back so hard. They didn't expect him to expose their own history. They didn't expect him to read out a letter from a Jewish former classmate. And they certainly didn't expect the public reaction to be so strong. Now the BBC is dealing with the backlash. And the irony is impossible to ignore. The harder they try to damage Reform UK, the stronger Reform becomes. This story isn't over. In fact, it's only just beginning. As the general election approaches, the attacks will intensify. There will be more attempts to cancel, more old stories dragged up, more desperate headlines, and more coordinated media campaigns, because the establishment can see what's coming. And for the first time in decades, they are the ones who are afraid. Nigel Farage didn't just defend himself today. He exposed a system that is starting to collapse in plain sight. He exposed a broadcaster that has lost the trust of the nation. He exposed a political class willing to go to any length to protect its power. And most importantly, he reminded Britain of something it hasn't heard in a long time. The establishment is no longer in control of the narrative. The public is not stupid, and people are finally waking up. This wasn't a BBC victory. It was a BBC disaster, and another major win for the reform movement.